All right, folks, this is the second part of our video on trig identities, and I've got several more examples here we're going to rip through pretty quickly. Not going to do a lot of explaining here, just going to do a lot of solving and then circle back at the end and try to highlight some key points. The one thing that I'll say about these trig identities is I cannot give you a strategy that works for every single type of problem. A lot of these you just have to really get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, and dive into the trig and the algebra. I can kind of highlight that back on the previous page here. It says strategies for verifying identities. It doesn't say procedure. This is not something that we can write a procedure for because there are pretty much an infinite number of different combinations. You just got to try some things, and after you get more experience, you'll start to see some things that show up pretty frequently, and you'll then start to develop the experience to be successful at these. For example, in this one I'm going to look at first 6 secant theta times tan theta equals 3 over 1 minus sine theta minus 3 over 1 plus sine theta. First thing I'm going to do is pick a side. This to me looks like the more complicated side, so that's where I'm going to start. And I can't do anything with these two fractions unless they have a common denominator. So first thing I'm going to do is find a common denominator. Common denominator is going to be, I'm going to need to multiply each one by its conjugate, so here we go. There you have it, folks. Verified identity. Let's move on to the next one. Sine theta divided by 1 minus cosine squared theta equals cosecant theta. I have to choose a side, folks. I have to pick a side that looks more complicated. To me, the left-hand side looks more complicated than the right, so that's the one I'm going to work on. That was pretty quick, folks. We're done. Verified. We can move on. Question number 4. I got sine theta times the sum of tangent and cotangent equals cosecant. Equals secant. We have a choice. Which one is more complicated? That certainly looks more complicated to me. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take tan theta and cotangent of theta. I'm going to rewrite those in terms of sine and cosine, and then I'm going to distribute sine theta to each of those terms. Here we go. There you have it, folks. Verified identity. Example 5. Got secant theta over 1 minus tan theta equals 1 divided by cosine theta minus sine theta. So I'm not sure. We could kind of debate on this one. Which side do we think is more complicated? I'm probably going to go with the one on the left because it doesn't have sine and cosine in it anywhere. Typically, those are tougher to work with. Let's see what we can do with this one. There you have it, folks. Verified identity. Let's now look at example 6. 4 cosine squared theta plus 4 sine squared theta equals 4. Well, this one's a can of corn. This is pretty easy, folks. I'm going to factor out, which side is more complicated? Clearly this side is. Okay, so let's start by factoring out a 4. And cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. So I have 4 times 1 equals 4. It sure does. Identity verified. Example 7. Got to pick a side that looks more complicated, folks. I'm gonna go with the left-hand side here on this one. I see two fractions with different denominators. I'm going to start by looking for a common denominator and see what happens. There you have it, folks. Identity verified. All right, folks, we got one last one to do here, and it's number 8. Which side is more difficult? We got to make a choice of which one we're going to work on. That one, to me, looks like the more difficult one. I have a denominator of 1 plus cotangent squared. That is one of my Pythagorean identities. That's equal to cosecant squared. So this simplifies to cosecant theta over cosecant squared theta. And here we go. That's it, folks. That one was pretty straightforward. I showed you that that identity is now verified. Sine theta equals sine theta. All right, folks, that's it for section 10.3. Good luck. And again, these problems won't show up in WebAssign, but they will on your test and quiz.